Today is Monday, December 4th, and the New York Jets cannot keep going with the headlines. The dysfunction continues, and I wanted to talk to Frankie Vittorini of UStadium. Frankie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing as good as I can, man. Another week, another doozy of a game, you know? I feel like every time
Yeah,
I talk to you, it's like I think it was rock bottom last week, but now this last week was even worse. So
it's a great point by you. It seems like you said it's always gonna be rock bottom with this team and this franchise, but then we get stories like today coming out. So before Robert Saleh came out for his normal Monday post presser from Sunday's game, we get the reports from Diana Rossini, from Zach Rosenblatt, both of the Athletic, and they both reported that Zack Wilson said, "I am hesitant to be the starting quarterback again for this Jets team this season and start again because I don't want to get hurt for injury reasons." And then we get Robert Saleh's presser. He didn't exactly deny Zack Wilson saying what he said and the reports coming out. All he said is that I had a conversation with Zack before I came and met with you guys, the press, and he said he wants the ball. He said he wants to start again. And Saleh himself even said, I'm not going to name a starting quarterback yet. I'm just not ready. So there's a couple of things I want to discuss here, Frankie. First being Zack Wilson's report about not wanting to start again this year. You know, Saleh did mention if he was hesitant to play or hesitant to want to start a game, he wouldn't be on this roster anymore. So, Frankie, when you heard the reaction, or what was your reaction to the report when you heard that Zack Wilson was hesitant to start again this year?
yeah, so when I first saw the report, and thanks, Rye, for having me on. I always love hopping
Of
on, man.
course.
So yeah, when I first saw the report, I wanted to do a little digging. It was a little bit general, the way that Rossini and Zach Rosenblatt sort of tweeted about it. I wanted to dive in a little bit more. As I started diving in a bit more, as I started looking at what Saleh was saying, and even what like Beningo was saying, and Saleh on the Michael Kay show, it was apparent that something had been said. So Zack Wilson had said something to somebody in the locker room or some guys in the regard of, I don't want to be playing and putting myself at risk of getting hurt for a team that really isn't doing anything and is doing me no favors. I'm probably not going to be here next year. Let me sort of go and be fresh for the offseason. That's sort of what was murmured and what I sort of got from the whole picture. Now, the way Saleh reacted to that is he's on both sides of the fence here. On one side, he compared this to college quarterbacks that don't play in bowl games, and that somehow justifies Zack Wilson not wanting to play an NFL game after how many starts has this kid had, and how
31.
underwhelming, and how underwhelming has he been? He should be dying to play football. He should be wanting to go out there to prove to other teams that he's worthy of getting a shot, because he's probably gotten too many shots, right? So that's one side of the puzzle. The other side is Zack Wilson saying to us that he has no faith in this team, I guess rightfully so, and he wants out. And Saleh sort of saying, you're not going to be here next year. So I think there's two things happening at the same time. Zack Wilson will not be here. There was something murmured. Saleh came out, made a weird comparison, comparing it to someone like, even someone brought up all like Caleb Williams is doing. Yeah, Caleb Williams is going to be a top 5 pick in the draft. I get why he's doing that. Zack Wilson may not even be a backup quarterback next year. He should be wanting to play. So it's a completely different situation. What I gathered from this is there is no more control in the Jets locker room. There's no respect for Saleh. There's no respect by the players for any coaches. The team has completely fallen apart. Aaron Rodgers coming here, having the keys to basically do whatever he wants. When he got hurt, everything just went up in the air. These players and these coaches are just sort of getting by, and we'll see how things work out. But there was no extra motivation this year, I feel. There was no focus by coaches and any real determination or motivation by the ownership or the GM to really make something happen out of this season. We haven't heard from Woody Johnson. We haven't heard from Joe Douglas. We haven't heard from really anybody. What we do here is Robert Saleh texting Joe Beningo on the side, and Joe Beningo is going on TV and spilling the beans about private conversations with the head coach. What kind of respect do you have as a person, as a head coach, when you have someone like Joe Beningo going out and and airing your dirty laundry. What's going on here? Would that ever happen to Mike Tomlin? Would that happen to Bill Belichick? Do you think they're texting retired media personalities and they're spilling it on the air? And Saleh will do it again, and Benigno will text him again. It's like, this team's a mess. It's really run like a D3 operation.
It's interesting. Obviously, you bring up the Benigno stuff. I mean, I think it's out of context. I think Joe Benigno is one of the many media personalities and diehard Jets fans that's been crying, bench Zack Wilson, play anyone but Zack. And then you saw, and that's what this all comes down to in my perspective of this, honestly, with the Jets situation. Zack Wilson, Robert Saleh told you he is the best option we have at quarterback right now. There is no one else on this roster that can play quarterback as well as Zack Wilson and operate this offense. Not Tim Boyle, a journeyman who, if you look at his stats in college, you look at his stats everywhere he's been, even in high school, he's always had more career interceptions than touchdowns. The production's never been there. And if we're being honest and frank in this conversation, Tim Boyle probably shouldn't be in the NFL. And then you have a guy in Trevor Siemian who's a career journeyman backup quarterback who, frankly, doesn't know the offense, came in midway point in the season because you needed another body in that quarterback room. And you saw what he did too. The Jets, as an offense this year, have the worst EPA of the NFL since 2000 when they recorded expected points added by quarterback play. It's the worst in the NFL since 2000. That's when they started recording it ever.
Wow.
Just think about that. Ever. They're getting the worst quarterback play ever for EPA. When you talk about expected points added, that's the analytics of football now. And that's the sad reality of where this franchise is at right now. I think it boils down to, pun intended, it really does come down to they didn't address this backup quarterback situation. And that is all we have talked about, is that Joe Douglas ignored that as soon as Aaron Rodgers went down 4 plays into the season, didn't even make a phone call and say, I need to go trade for whether it be a Kirk Cousins or go get another backup quarterback option in here, in this room, because Zack Wilson, he decided, let's ride it out with him. And this was just another example today of the immaturity I think he has as being an NFL player. I understand his thought process of, I'm not going to put myself out there, put my body on the line. This franchise, they did wrong by me by benching me 3 times now. It's like, well, to be frank, Zach, you've historically been one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL, if you think about it. So what leg do you have to stand on and say that I am not going to put my body on the line for one of 32 jobs in the NFL? The quarterback position is the most important position in the NFL, and there's only 32 jobs. And for you to say and have the gall to other teammates, whether it be in a private conversation or the coaches in the QB room, whatever it is, and say, I don't feel like going back on the field because I'm hesitant and, I could get hurt behind this offensive line, or, they did wrong by me. Dude, you're going to be out of the league in a couple of years if that's your thinking, maybe even next year. So
right, I'm going to tell you this right now. It boils down, again, no pun intended, to this. There are bad businesses, and then there are good businesses, and then there are great businesses. The Jets are a bad business. And if you look at all the elements of a bad business, the Jets hit every single parameter there. The players, the employees, however you want to describe them, have no respect for the leadership. People that are leaders don't earn the respect because they don't know what they're doing. There is a complete there's no accountability. It's just a complete shit show, if I can say it. That's exactly what it is. There is no right or wrong. Nobody really knows what's going on. People are out for themselves. Now you have Zack worried about where he's going to go next year. I guess to a degree it makes sense, but you're trying to prove yourself this year. You're making all these assumptions about what's going to happen next year. Saleh doesn't even know what's going to happen to him next year. You see him on one week, he's trying to put Joe Douglas under the bus. The next week, he's all buddy back with Douglas. He rips Hackett one week, and then the next week he tells the reporters to go see the all-22. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
The owner is gone. We haven't seen him. I don't know where does he got like a Sexy Red concert tonight? Where's he? Where's he been? Douglas is MIA. The fans, we're all nuts right now. we're in like this loop of just negativity.
It's a repeat of
want
last year.
Yeah. I'll say this. If I just want to see over the next, 5 games, I just want to see this team show some form of productivity, like a real NFL team. I want to see, even if I rather us lose out, I just want to see us play a really quality game from start to finish. Why? I want to be proven as a fan that Robert Saleh and that coaching staff, even with Rodgers, is going to be able to do something next year. Because I'm getting the feeling that if Rodgers was here this year, I don't even think we're going to make the playoffs, to be completely frank. I think we overrated this season. I think we put way too much energy and we thought way too well of how this team was actually going to be. They're not this good. They have a lot of flaws everywhere. They really do. They're not a good football team. We just have to admit it. They have a lot of things they need to work on. And we shouldn't have put all our eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket. And when people say, oh, well, look at the Buccaneers. Tom Brady won, 6 Super Bowls before he got there? He had a system. He had a formula. Aaron Rodgers has won 1 Super Bowl in 15 years. He's gone to 2, right? He's gone to 2, I think.
No, he's only gone to 1.
Oh, he's only gone to 1. Sorry. But he's won 1 Super Bowl in 15 years. So you can't tell me that is comparable to someone like Tom Brady, who won 6, went to 7 or 8, went to 8, excuse me. I mean, it's not the same thing. It's a different thing. And we really just took a high risk, high reward mentality. And I think it was high risk and just above average reward, pretty high reward. I don't think the reward was where we thought it was going to be. What we should do in this next offseason is figure out how to move on from Allen Lazard. I know he's under contract and there's all stipulations. Try to trade him, get him out of here. Woody Johnson needs to sit down and Douglas with Rodgers and say, listen, your little 1-year experiment or 2-year, whatever. 1 year we lost. We look like crap. The freaking fans don't even want to show up to games. They want me fired. Douglas needs to say, I'm going to start taking control of this team. Maybe we keep Saleh. Maybe we don't. That's for them to decide. I'd still keep Douglas. They need to tell Rodgers, this isn't your show anymore. Your show completely derailed this entire thing. It's bad. It looks bad. The optics are as bad as they've ever been for a team that is a bottom 5 franchise. So we need to take control now. You're not the boss. We're the boss. Shut the F up. You have to say once in a while. Get out of the media. Stop talking about your recovery. We don't want you to even have practice. Go recover. We'll deal with it next year. That's the only way. I'm telling you, you have to reset the structure with Rodgers here.
I hear you, Frankie. I just don't think that's going to happen. You handed the keys over to him already. He owns the process now. You either are going to reset this entire thing in the offseason and clean house and bring in a new GM and a new coaching staff. That's the only 1 of 2 ways this is going to go. Either you're going to clean house, because the Jets have a very good chance, in my frank opinion, of going 0-10 down the stretch here and being 4-13, because the way their offense is currently producing, even with Zack Wilson back in there, I don't think they have enough structurally or production wise to actually win a football game. And that's my honest opinion. Even when they play the Commanders or the Patriots, they don't have enough on offense. And the coordinator isn't doing a great job. He did actually a decent job yesterday. Garrett Wilson was wide open on the all-22.
Yeah, they had better quality
the
plays
kid needs to
yesterday.
get the ball. But again, you had guys who don't even belong in the league playing quarterback position, and you're trying to get him, and they just don't even give the opportunity, Garrett Wilson, to get the ball in his hands. And again, this all goes back to Joe Douglas. How are you structuring this? The roster and personnel decisions that you made. It comes down to a couple things here. The offensive line was hammered with injuries, but you really cannot tell me Dwayne Brown, a 38-year-old tackle coming off hip surgery or shoulder surgery, was a good idea going into this season. You can't, because he hasn't played a snap this year. He's played the 4th string tight end this past weekend. He's not even a starting offensive lineman. And you're down to your 14th and 13th string offensive lineman. He can't even crack the starting lineup. Connor McGovern goes down. AVT goes down. Max Mitchell battled injuries. But Kai Becton missed the game, but he's been back. He's played okay. Laken Tomlinson's been a complete bust, if we're being honest, as a left guard. He's one of the worst left guards I've ever seen. The guy gives up pressures constantly. So you missed, because you're in your 1st round pick, mind you, you got traded up for by the Patriots and Steelers, and you missed out on your offensive tackle and Broderick Jones. So you missed out on the opportunity to actually revamp this offensive line for Aaron Rodgers. You had Corey Davis as your probably number 2 receiver / number 3 retire in training camp. You didn't address that at all. You said, oh, we have enough with Xavier Gibson, Jason Brownlee. That was another huge mistake because even to your point, Frankie, where are the other weapons on this team? You have average to below average tight end production. CJ Uzama is an overpaid, can't block tight end. Tyler Conklin's a nice tight end, but he's not a star. And Jeremy Ruckert is a developmental tight end. So the offensive personnel decisions were horrible to begin with if you're Joe Douglas. And then you brought in this offensive coordinator who got fired as a head coach from the Denver Broncos. And now look at what they're doing with Sean Payton. You know,
my question for you is this, though, Rye.
Yeah.
You want to move on from Douglas?
Yes,
do you? Because you do?
I would say for me, if they lose out, and Rex Ryan said this, mind you, and I think Rex is a little bit more tuned in with the Jets than people realize.
I agree.
He said on DPH and Rothberg this morning, if the Jets lose out and don't win a game the rest of the season, they have to clean house. And I think they will. And he goes, if that's what happens, they're going to clean house. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Can't think about what Rodgers wants. Can't think about what he, what his input is. Go ahead.
My question for you is this, though. You, hypothetically, you can have 2 options here. Let's say they lose out. I don't think they're going to lose out. I just think losing 10 games in a row doesn't happen. Law of averages. Yeah, it could. Maybe we're talking
worst offense in the NFL
in a month
by
and a
far.
half, and they do. Definitely. I don't think they're going to lose out. I think we're going to win 6 or 7 games. That's what I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we're going to win a few others. We will. I'm telling you, it's just the way it drops with us, man. I'm telling you, we win weird games. It's that defense will find a way to keep us in some games. We'll win them late and whatever. But regardless, that's neither here nor there. Let's say it's going this bad. It's as bad as it's going to go. Even if we win a game or 2, it's still doomsday. What would you rather have, right? Because I'm thinking about this. Would you rather have Saleh Douglas, A, B, no Saleh, no Douglas, or C, Saleh, no Douglas, or D, Douglas, no Saleh? I'm taking out of that bunch. I'm taking D. I'm taking Douglas and no Saleh. I'm bringing in. I don't trust us to get another GM that is better than Joe Douglas right now. There might be someone. Listen, I think up until this season, and we looked at the way that we constructed the team this year, we finally had the illusion, I guess, or the hope that we were going to be a playoff / Super Bowl contender. I think he did a good enough job or a great job in the draft last year, not as good this year, but last year, where he put us in a position to really, bring in somebody like an Aaron Rodgers to want to come here and believe in what we have. We played them to that year. He saw the team. There was some excitement and there was some really good things going on. The Tippmann pick looks better now. He's had some other picks. He's made some trades. Listen, he's not as good as maybe I've thought, Douglas, but I don't think he's the problem. I think he's more on the side where if things are starting to go in the right way, he'll be part of a good quality solution or a team that's actually productive and moving in the right direction. I don't think Saleh at this point, looking at what he's done, I don't trust him in a big game. I think if he goes and he's going up against even the guy in Cincinnati, Zach Taylor, or he's against a Tomlin, or he's playing a big game in Buffalo. I don't trust him to be able to put together a game plan and beat a team in a one and done situation throughout the season. That's one thing, but I think he does not understand the X's and O's side on the offense well enough to be able to work with a coordinator. And unless we have someone like a whiz, OC, which is not even likely that we're going to have, we're going to need another head coach that's just offensive minded with Douglas and how he's been able to bring in some defensive studs for us. I think that can work with Rodgers and however else the quarterback situation. I don't think getting rid of Douglas and Saleh starting over with Rodgers coming there and knowing these guys, I don't know. It seems like there's too many different moving parts that it could be as bad as it's been.
I mean, Frankie, it's already been as bad as it is. I mean, I think we're hurling towards the cliff. We're going off the cliff. We're hurling towards that position right now of it's all going to get blown up. That's how I see it right now. But finally, the last thing I want to talk to you about or ask you real quick, the last 5 games, what are the Jets going to do? And who do you see them starting at quarterback these last 5 games?
So I think they're going to start Siemian this week. I don't think you could start Zach. I just don't think at this point. I think they were trending towards starting Zach, and then these little murmurs came out about what he was saying to other players, etc. I think that sort of just kind of have to kick the can down the road again and just kind of wait it out. I think Siemian will start this week, depending on how he plays. That'll affect what happens against the Dolphins. And then, listen, I could see Zach starting a game against the Commanders, Browns, or even the Patriots. I really don't care to see it. I don't even, honestly, Ryan, I don't even care who plays quarterback at this point. I do want to lose out if we can just to get a higher draft pick, but I'm telling you, we're not going to. I'm just saying it right now. We have 5 games left. We're going to win a few. We'll probably win. I think we'll win 2 of them. So we'll end up winning 6 games. We'll go 6 and 11.
Too optimistic, maybe, Frankie Vittorini.
10 games in a row to lose is impressive. It's not easy to do, by the way.
What'd they do last year? 7 in a row?
6. Now we're at 5. Yeah. It's tough to lose 10 in a row, man. You could be really bad and not lose 10 in a row. I'm just saying.
This offense is beyond bad. It's Iowa football in the NFL.
It is. It's the worst in 30 years, they were saying. When I went on with Dexter, I was like saying, oh, worse in 20, 30 years. I'm like, wait, maybe I was over-exaggerating. Then I looked at the other day. I'm like, we have 10 touchdowns in the last 12 games. It's like
Frankie, they have more safeties in the first quarter than they do touchdowns in the first quarter this year.
It's unbelievable, man. It really is. I can't even, you're watching this offense and you're like, oh, I've seen something like this before. Oh, I've seen it. And then you're like, actually, no, I haven't. We cannot pick up first downs. We're like 8 points lower than the 31st ranked team in third down conversions. We're 8 percentage points under 31. 8 percentage points. It's crazy. And the league today, I'm sure you've heard this on TV today, but everyone is every team basically has all the rules in their favor to be able to move the ball down the field. The game is meant for you to move the ball down the field.
For offense.
And when we do have any, success on offense, you see Dalvin Cook fumble or you see something go wrong or a drop. But hey, man, I don't know. I just think at the end of the day, dude, the leadership of this team needs to act like leaders and be accountable. Saleh cannot be texting Beningo. Douglas cannot be MIA. Woody Johnson's got to talk with Rodgers about, where he stands in the large scheme of this operation. And if we need to get rid of a few of Rodgers' guys, quote unquote, or whatever Rodgers wants to do, we need to take some of those keys back. We gave him a stack of freaking 10 keys. We need to take 5 back. We're not giving you all the keys. We're going to give you 5. We're going to keep 5 ourselves. I think that'll then start making the team just run a little better. Because, right, I don't think this team would have been anything this year, honestly, with Rodgers here. They're just too all over the place.
I disagree to a point just because it was one of those years where the AFC where you see Joe Burrow's out, Deshaun Watson's out. The Steelers just lost Kenny Pickett. The Chiefs look beatable. The Bills aren't good. It's a year where the Jets actually had an opportunity to make some damage, and how many games they've actually been in this year, but their offense just gives them absolutely zero chance from the start. I mean, you're talking about it's 10-5. Guess what? That's too much insurmountable of a lead, a 5-point lead now for the Falcons against the Jets. That's where we're at as viewers watching this Jets offense. So I think that's where you kind of have to Rodgers implemented in that system. He knows how to get the ball out of his hands quickly. He knows how to distribute. He knows how to make protections go left or right the proper way when he sees a blitz coming. There's just so many intricacies that he can actually do in this offense that you're just not seeing. And even average, we're not even getting average quarterback play. My point. We're getting well below average. We're getting bare minimum, bottom of the barrel, worst quarterback play you'll ever see in your lifetime. That's how bad it is right now.
My thing though is, has there been any weapons on our offense this season you've seen that you feel like have played above and beyond?
Tyler Conklin. I would say Tyler Conklin. That's it.
Very limited, in very limited amounts of touches though. I don't think the volume that Rodgers wanted to conduct this offense with, the high volume of plays, Well, for us, it's high volume of plays. For other teams, it's just average. For us, it's like it's like running a spread offense in 2-minute drills all the time because we've never seen a high volume. But I think with Rodgers wanting to run a more high volume, I don't think we had enough pieces to make it happen. I just don't. I think we needed a little bit more. We needed another receiver. We needed another tight end.
No
Obviously,
disagreement
the O-line's
there. No
the biggest
disagreement.
problem. Yeah. I just don't know if the offense, I think they would have been 18th, 20th,
Listen,
honestly. I mean, it's better than 32nd, but
to wrap all this up, Frankie, I would say 18th ranked offense right now instead of 32nd would probably get you 7 or 8 wins right now. Currently, with 4 wins instead, they'd have 7 or 8 wins right now and be looking at a playoff spot. That's the difference right now, in my personal opinion.
You're right. I mean, listen, you're potentially right there. Yeah.
Super
Bowl though, no. But
no. But you'd have something to build on,
right?
You'd have
like
something
that,
to actually look forward to in
for
2024.
Sure.
Frankie, thank you so much for doing this Jets Therapy fan session with us here at the New York Post Sports. You can obviously catch Frankie on UStadium app. They're great over there. Tons of other Jets content and other football and anything else you really think of. Frankie, appreciate you as always, man.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much, dude. Have a great week. All right.
You too.